I just think that with Wiggins, the fact that he came into the season averaging 12 points, he was one of the worst corner shooters. At one point, he had like a 41% true shooting. Because he's already a guy that if his 3-point shot isn't falling, defenses aren't going to respect. If his defense isn't there either, the main value he brought is, okay, I'm going to be a wing that can get my buckets and I can play defense. And that's my value to the team. He's not like a playmaker. He's just solely a play finisher. So when you're not finishing plays and your defense also looks compromised to where I can say B-Pods is a better defender than you, the value that he's adding to lineups on a night-to-night basis isn't there. Our best lineups on this season have not featured Andrew Wiggins. So, I
look
get
at
trying
his
to raise
on
up his value, but when you already move him to the bench at that point, it gets kind of tough because it's like you've already lowered his value as much as it could be. And it's like Kuminga at this point should be the number one player that you embrace. So it's like a tough, happy medium that I think Kerr's trying to find with that. Because I do believe the Warriors are trying to trade Andrew Wiggins. I do believe that.
Yeah, so to put in perspective, when he is on the floor, we're a -9, almost 10. We have a 115 offensive rating and a 125 defensive rating. With him off the floor, we're a much better offense, and we're a +6 net rating, or a +7 if I round up. 119 offensive rating, 112 defensive rating. So with him off the floor, we are legitimately like a completely different team.
I didn't know it was that bad.
We go from a bottom feeder to like a mid-level, above average team with him off the floor.
I know you just brought up the on-off numbers, but I just took a look at the cumulative plus minus. Andrew Wiggins is on the season is a -189, which is good for 497th in the league. Everybody else around him is Pistons, Blazers, Spurs, Grizzlies.
Oh, wow.
So a bunch of bottom feeders. Okay.
Yeah.
That's how bad he's been, man. And it's hard to, he doesn't have that much crazy value. Man, I don't know why he keeps getting run. I don't know what he has on Steve Kerr. I get like the trade reasoning, but you need to close with Kuminga, bro. Like you close with Kuminga in that game against Milwaukee, you probably win. I'm not gonna lie.
I don't think you have to close with Andrew Wiggins. Like, if you just have him starting to raise up his value, then that's fine. Do that. But he doesn't have to close every game, especially when Kerr says, well, I keep it fluid. Whoever's playing the best, even though it's not really that. But, on paper, he says whoever's playing best. So he doesn't have to do both. If you're going to bring Andrew Wiggins into the starting lineup to try to raise his value, then do that. But if there's a game that is there for the taking Kuminga out for Looney, who by the way has also looked like a shell of himself this season, just doesn't make sense when Kuminga's been out playing in pretty much every game for the most part now.
I feel like the difficult part about the whole Wiggins trade situation is that I have no idea what his value even is. Like, I don't know what teams
I don't know.
think about him right now.
I know he was linked to like the Cavs and the Pacers, so I think the Warriors are kind of looking for a big. Yeah, I don't know his value is neither. I'm confused. I know it's low. I just don't know what we're getting in return for someone like Wiggins.
Time at a time, Wiggins has made sacrifices for the team that should be known. He took less money. He moved the birth of his child, I think, up just to play basketball for us, which is great. Barely missed any
regular
time.
Season game.
Yeah, like
not even a playoff game.
No, like he gave a lot to this franchise and to this team. So trading him is tough, obviously, but I do think that's the move we have to make.
I still have like the tiniest of belief that he could turn it around, but I think it's just a little too late because the more he plays better now, the higher the trade value and the quicker he's probably going to get traded.
I feel like the issue with it, right, is even if he plays better, my problem is with Wiggins on his team, I think there's a ceiling to what you can get out of Kuminga because Kerr's going to be playing Wiggins over him.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think that's true. Because of Steve Kerr's inability to coach, I think we just have to trade him. And and so yeah, that's primarily it, bro. I don't know what we're gonna get in return. We've been linked to Jared Allen. I think we've been linked to some of the bigs in Indiana. I don't know what the hell you're gonna get in return. I have to look at First of all, I generally have to look at Wiggins' contract because I don't know what it is exactly. In the 2026, 2027, he has a year where he can potentially make $30 million. That's insane. We low-key overpaid this guy. So he's making 24 now and 26. And to put in reference with other, I think Jared Allen's contract. So he signed.
By the way, the Cavs, like, I don't see it because it's like, why are you trading your most?
Because they don't want to run. They don't want to run two bigs anymore. The two big thing that they don't want to do. And they're actually, I'm not gonna lie, the Cavs are a team that I made a video on them a year ago. they're in desperate need of like I used Mikal Bridges and Andrew Wiggins as an example. Now,
They need a
mind you,
wing.
when I said this at the time, Wiggins was playing really good, so that's why I compared the two together. But yeah, so I said Andrew Wiggins, Mikal Bridges. You need someone who's a wing who can score the basketball, shoot the three, while also playing high level defense, and that's the caliber of player Wiggins can be for them. And I think they're a believer of like Evan Mobley's ability to hold the defense down by himself. So all the signs to me are looking towards trade the guys who have helped you win so much. Because if you look at it from this perspective, Moody, B-Pods, Kuminga, TJD. And I'll include Steph because he's still our best player. I know he's playing completely terrible, but I know who he is. I know he can still contribute to a winning a team that wants to win. During this entirety of the season, these have been your consistent guys who have been able to give you something from a game-to-game basis. And you continue to go to guys like Looney, who's been hit or miss, Wiggins, hit or miss. Clay's been having a better stretch, but he'll still give you games where it's like he's hitting or missing his shots, and that'll really hurt you because defensively he's not the same guy he used to be. A lot of the veteran guys are just not giving you what they should be doing, and you should be relying on some of the younger guys like B-Pods. Like yesterday when we're mad at, obviously, Steve Kerr for not playing Kuminga, but another issue was that you played Wiggins, and that took away from B-Pod's on-ball reps because we seen what he looked like in that Milwaukee game, essentially getting it out the mud, where he would get grenades, crazy step back threes, and he would just have to create out of nothing. And he was still scoring like efficiently as well. So I'm just thinking to myself, imagine you give him a flare screen. Imagine you give him a high screen ball, like a high screen ball pick and roll as well, right? And someone like Brook Lopez is playing drop. He can shoot pull-up threes. He's a good pull-up three-point shooter as well. So it's like you should be able to maximize him because should be the one to look at to be that backup point guard, to be the someone who can lead like a team off the bench in terms of scoring output as well, along with Kuminga, maybe if Kuminga has a better or is starting, right? And you didn't look to that. You put in Wiggins, it took away his reps, and then you've seen how the fourth quarter went, extremely stagnant. You're relying on Clay, who had a good fourth quarter in that game, to make a lot of his tougher jump shots when you have another good shooter in B-Pods who's capable of playing on ball. And those are the type of things to me that just hurt your team, is when you don't go to guys who've been A, playing well all night, and B, need the reps. And this guy has been one of your better players to start the season. And Steve Kerr pointed it out. That's why you said he's essential for these lineups, because defensively he's a positive, offensively he's a positive, and you can get a lot more out of him even with him playing this limited role. So that's another mistake I think Steve Kerr is doing, is just misutilizing guys on this team. And they're still thriving. That's the funny part to me as well. So it's like he sees them thriving, so he doesn't think it's a problem. But to me, it's like they could be so much more if you play them a certain way. Like, I understand he's young. He's going to have turnovers. He's going to make mistakes. But I need those mistakes to happen for him to get better.
Like, it's better that they make the mistakes right now rather than making them in a critical situation, you know, because they never got the chance to learn from them.
When you come into the season where your best players are the younger guys compared to the veteran players with B-Pods, Trace, and Kuminga, you need to maximize those guys because those guys are basically the foundational pieces of your team as it is now. And to not like use their skill sets accurately hurts the team. Like B-Pods can literally do the same thing Chris Paul was doing with Dario Saric as a shooter, as a movement guy, fine, but use him on the ball more. Like seeing him pass the ball up so Andrew Wiggins can self-create out of the corner on a mismatch or whatever it is, like that's not the best way to use him on and on. When B-Pods plays aggressive, he's a different player. But I feel like oftentimes because he's a first-year player, he's trying to, you know, I'll take the backseat to Chris Paul, right? Like I'll do all the things they want me to do. I'll run off the ball, but that's not really maximizing what he could be on this team, which effectively lowers the ceiling of how good we can be.
I just think all these things are just indicators for him to be a much better scorer than you think what he should be. Like he shouldn't be playing like you have B-Pods playing like GP2, but he can shoot. That's how I see him right now. Like that's exactly how I see him. And I just don't think he's that caliber of player. I think he's way more than this.
Now going back to, because I feel like I had something to say like way back, like 15 minutes ago when you were talking about like it's almost like he accidentally finds out who's good and who isn't. There was a point during 2021, the season when Clay was out, where Juan Toscano-Anderson was a very clear positive, and he was also getting DNPs. And I was like, yo, what the hell? He's like a clear positive. He's been a great defender, great rebounder whenever he's gotten run. And then we had a game against the Boston Celtics late in the season. That was a game where Steph dropped like 47, I think. Juan Toscano Anderson had a play where there was a loose ball. I'm sure
I remember
you
that
guys,
loose ball. Yeah.
loose
True.
ball. He dives over the scorer's table, saves the ball. Steph 3, 37 or something like that. 37 stitches or
He gave his life up for that 3.
something like that. And I think I had a tweet when that happened. I was like, how did he have to split his head open for you to realize that he's been a valuable player for this team?
I think that's the most frustrating part, right? Because the funny part is like, what's going to happen is Kerr's going to make all these bad decisions. And then when he gets like super late, he's like, oh, I got it. And they're going to win more games. It's like, well, we could have won a lot more had you made some of these shifts in December, January,
Like
November,
that,
right?
And back to that 2021 season when they went on that crazy run to end the year. They were like 15-5 in their last 20 games. And the main adjustment that they made was fixing the lineups and running Steph on ball
Way more pick and roll.
And then you end up
like
with one
they
of the
literally
better second half.
and they literally just decided we're gonna Steph and Draymond pick and roll every single team to death and see what happens.
Only missed the playoffs because only missed the playoffs because Steph missed like I think his last 5 games or some like something like that. Because I'm pretty sure all 5 of the games they lost he wasn't playing.
Derrick Rose, Desmond Bane, Jaren Jackson, Jake LaRivia, and Santi Aldama are all game time decisions for tomorrow. And Marcus Smart is out until at least February 23rd. God damn.
Very tough.
I'm not gonna lie. That game should most definitely be a win. Like if we don't win tomorrow, forfeit the season until you make it.
Game.
The next day.
Yeah, okay.
How the fuck did we lose to Memphis, bro? Oh man. It's like this is the worst part about everything is like I know we're not that good of a team, but we're not this bad.
You dead ass cannot pencil in wins anymore with this team, bro. It's
Like there's
not
just some teams that I expect to win out of, and I can't even say that anymore.
I know.